I'm glad you found your way back to what it sounds like was natural in childhood and found all these different trainings and ways to weave it in through your work as well. And I imagine, but I don't know, so I'm going to ask, is that what set the foundation for HerbRally? And can you talk a bit about what that is and how it started?
Yeah, so HerbRally started essentially as a website that I wanted to see exist in the world, which it started out as a herbalism events website. So as I mentioned, I worked for Mountain Rose Herbs. I was their event coordinator. And so I was like, oh, that'd be cool if there was a website that just tells you what herbalism events are happening around the country. And what I found was there were some doing it here and there, but mostly we're just listing major herb conferences. What I wanted to know about were herbalism events, plant walks, just little lectures happening in these smaller communities. And I couldn't find anything like that. And I basically just decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I bought the domain herbrally.com. And then I held on to it probably for like a year. And I just kind of sat with it. I had this idea in my head that it had to be perfect when I launched. And then one day I was just like, no, I have to do this. So I just bought a Squarespace website and I just started listing events, Wow. So it really just started out as an events board. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Because I found out about HerbRally maybe a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been around for now?
2015.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. And yeah. I think I saw it from like an Instagram post.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And that attracts me. And so I started to look through all that you have to offer. And from that events posting, it, from the outside looking in, looks like you really have continued to grow from that footing. And now there are people writing about plants that you are posting. And then there's a podcast and you have this new YouTube channel and clothing. And like, it's really looks like it is taking off in ways that it sounds like you didn't expect or think about.
Totally.
What's that been like?
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. It's surreal. And every time I had a new idea for the website, I'm like, well, there's no one telling me not to do this, so I'm just going to do it. You were referring to the herbal monographs we have.
Right.
And I came to find out that my favorite way to read about plants was like long form description driven by story and personal experience from that particular herbalist. The reference books have their place where you could just read paragraph and, sometimes you need those bite-sized bits of info, but I really liked the long form content. So what I set out to do, and I initially just hired my close friends who also, are in the herbal world. I think my first one was that we published was by my friend Nick Moya. He's an herbalist here in Eugene as well. He wrote one on burdock, and sure enough, it's probably like 5 pages in length. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want to read. So I figure other people want to do that too. And slowly but surely over the course of time, I think we have around 70 monographs, and we just keep, adding maybe one per month or so. But what was that your question?
I mean, I love that answer. That's perfect. Yeah. I think I love hearing more about how things start. And then it sounds to me like you're planting these seeds and also kind of feeling into where it wants to go and grow. And I like no one was telling me not to. That's great. I wonder how that's felt.
It's been extremely rewarding considering I don't really feel like before HerbRally I had anything, I don't want, productive or constructive to put my extra creative energy towards. And so the way I always looked at it was HerbRally is this never ending thing. It's something that I constantly can improve. It's my contribution to the herbal world. It's it's yeah, I guess it's just fulfilling, I should say. Also, just knowing that it's never going to end. I mean, I don't see why it would end. You know what I mean? It's because I love doing this so much. Like I said, I worked at Mountain Rose Herbs. I don't know if I mentioned I was there for 11 years, constantly working on this behind the scenes. And I never saw an end game with HerbRally. It's just, I don't know. It's just fun. So
cool. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that comes through to me as someone who reads the newsletter and listens to the podcast, and it's like you're culminating and crafting a space of community for, like, it's so inclusive. Mm-hmm. Also because there's so many ways to enter. So thank you for doing that. And it sounds like part of what I would call your magic to me, like your offering. And
that resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you're stepping into it. It feels, because you left Mountain Rose, correct?
I did about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it because even though we're just meeting virtually for the first time, it's like I can, even on screen, I can see the energy of this big offering. And it's huge, really, like as a channel through you, like through your center almost.
I was trying to explain it, actually, coincidentally, to the owner of Mountain Rose Herbs the other day. I was trying to explain it to him that HerbRally really is kind of like the how do I say this? Like my brain downloaded, or my heart and brain downloaded onto the internet. At least one portion of it, that side of it, because you acknowledge the inclusivity or the diversity of content on HerbRally. And really that's been intentional since day one. I was talking about earlier how I struggle with using the word herbalist for myself. I think it's because, well, I don't see clients. But besides that, my mind is always shifting on the way I see the world and the way I understand plants and herbalism and all that. So I never want to just appear as correct or right. So I feel as if everyone has something to contribute to the herbal world. And my main prerequisite is, are you helping people and not hurting people? As long as they're not hurting people, I'm golden, because I can skew on, say, the sciencey side of things or the more quote unquote woo-woo side of things. I like it all, I could vibe with it all. And I could see where each and all of it has its place. So I don't want to be judgmental about someone's other perspective on the way they teach herbalism, because A, I can always learn, and B, like, who's to say I'm right about that? You know what I mean? I guess what it boils down to is just don't hurt people, with the information you're putting out there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Thank you. Yeah. And because of that, it's like, it feels like a journey from that dried root plant, right? And so now there's this huge diversity of experience, and it came really from that root, but it sounds like wanting to know more.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
I was so obsessed with the adaptogens and all the sexy herbs of that time, which, just to mark the time, is probably around 2008, 2009, maybe. Remember, like, when goji berries were a huge thing?
Yes, I do.
That was my jam.
They're
great. I'm just saying, Howie and Steven at the Columbine School took me out into the woods, and then I started having these, experiences with plants. So yeah, totally different.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I love blending experiences, and also constantly learning and knowing that I don't know anything really. And so it's a pleasure to hear from you and your experience.